May the power protect you.
An iconic phrase from Zordon, who was the leader of the Power Rangers, and that's what we typically know about him. But who is he really? Zordon belongs to a planet called Elter, which we will talk about in another video. He is also defined as a mystical galactic sage and warrior of good who fights against evil. Part of his achievements was to create the Power Rangers, and 10,000 years ago a villain named Rita Repulsa tried to conquer many worlds throughout the universe. Zordon, upon learning of this, objected and started a war against Rita. This war lasted about 2,000 years across different planets where many warriors perished, some at the hands of Rita's servants, such as Night Nasty, who fought against the mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After so many years of fighting, Rita began to serve Lord Zed, and he sent her to Earth, so she built her palace on the moon to start her war from there. In that same period, Zordon discovered 5 coins of power, but those 5 coins were not the only ones. There was one more, and that was obtained by Rita Repulsa. Each coin had the power of some prehistoric animal and gave power to anyone who used them. The coins Zordon found were Tyrannosaurus, to invoke red power, Mastodon, to invoke black power, Saber-toothed tiger, to invoke yellow power, Pterodactyl, to invoke pink power, and Triceratops, to invoke blue power. The coin that Rita found is very powerful. It belongs to the dragon and can invoke the green power. After so many years of war, Zordon starts to get closer to victory and Rita starts to give up, so she tells Zordon that she is going to agree to peace. Because of this, Zordon lets his guard down and Rita banishes him to a place where Zordon exists outside of ordinary time. An energy tube that he can't get out of and only allows him to talk, but at the same time he can't age either. Still, Zordon is so powerful that he found a way to imprison Rita in a space junk container and destined her to be locked away for eternity. In Earth year 1993, the space junk container Rita was in was accidentally opened by astronauts, and she returned to her base on the moon to continue her war against Zordon. This time Zordon was prepared. He had already built his base on Earth and befriended Alpha, who would help him create the Power Rangers. In addition to this, Zordon had positioned weapons throughout the solar system to continue defending the Earth from any enemy attack, in addition to all the contacts he had throughout space that warned him of any threat. In order to confront Rita, Zordon and Alpha chose 5 teenagers to give them the power of the 5 coins they had found some time ago. These teens were Jason, who was given the Tyrannosaurus coin to invoke the red power, Zack, who received the Mastodon coin to invoke the black power, Trini, who received the Saber-toothed tiger coin to invoke the yellow power, Kimberly, who was given the Pterodactyl coin to invoke the pink power, and finally Billy, who got the Triceratops coin to invoke the blue power. These 5 teenagers were the first Power Rangers we saw on TV, although in the history of this fantasy universe we already know that Dino Fury's Rangers existed first. In the comics there is also another story about 5 Rangers that Zordon had chosen before these teens, and it all ended very badly. You can look for that video on the channel. After Zordon chose these 5 teens to be the Power Rangers, Rita also used her power coin and chose Tommy Oliver to get the dragon coin with the green-colored powers. The Rangers managed to break Rita's spell that caused Tommy to be evil, and this Green Ranger was part of the team for a while until his powers ran out. After this, Zordon was able to create the power of the White Ranger, a power that comes from all that is good, and chose Tommy to give him this power and named him the new leader of the team. Zordon was the mentor of the Power Rangers in the 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin, also in Zeo and in some episodes of Turbo, since there he went to star with Alpha 5. He then appeared a few times in the In Space series until the end of that season when he was destroyed by Andrus in order to save the universe. Zordon knew that if Andrus destroyed the tube, this was going to create an expansive slingshot that was going to reach everywhere in the universe, and this was going to destroy all the villains, as well as transform some. This was the last time we saw Zordon alive, but his legacy is so great that he has been mentioned by many Power Rangers teams, and in the special episode we start to know more about him again. After many years, the mighty Morphin team is still together, and Billy built a new command center. In addition to this, they also have Alpha 8, which we assume must have been built by Billy or Alpha 7. Billy and Alpha 8 were working hard to try and bring Zordon back, since despite not being physically on Earth, his energy is still wandering around somewhere. Basically, this was the same thing that happened with Rita and Lord Zed when they were purified with Zordon's energy. All that evil energy was left wandering around in existence, and this is what Billy attracted with the experiment. Unfortunately, Billy was unable to bring Zordon back. However, Rita's evil energy managed to enter through the tube and then exited to get inside Alpha 8's body. After the events of the special episode, all the things we saw in Cosmic Fury happened, and one of these things was the appearance of Zordon again. Many people didn't understand this part well, so we are going to try to explain it as best as we can, since there are many new fans who may not know Zordon very well. When Zyto died at the end of Dino Fury, we could see that after 6 months the Morphin Master brought him back, and at that time no one knew what really happened. Zyto really knew what was happening, but he didn't want to tell his friends so as not to worry them, because he knew that his death had been difficult for them. The Morphin Masters had brought him back with magic only to fulfill a purpose, and he was basically like a battery charged with that magic, since every time he used that energy, he had less time left alive. When Zyto used all the energy, his spirit began to return to the grid, but Ian was so desperate that his spirit attached itself to Zyto's spirit, and he also came to the grid. Ian woke up in a place with lots of light, and in front of him was Zyto's body, but it had blue eyes. After Ian hugged him, this being told him that he did not know him, and Ian was very confused as it was the same body of Zyto. This being was Zordon, who was somewhere unknown since Andrus destroyed the tube, and now he had Zyto's appearance, but somehow the grid connected him to Ian. Zordon told Ian that he was seeing his friend because that was what his mind wanted to see, but he was not Zyto, and Ian asked him if he can tell him if Zyto's energy is somewhere in the grid. Zordon manages to find Zyto's energy in the grid, but tells Ian that Zyto's time on Earth is up and that cannot change. The strangest thing about this encounter is that Zordon apparently didn't have much memory of the Rangers and Lord Zed, even though he said those names were familiar to him. Zordon never said his name, but we knew it was him because he told Ian that there was something he used to say in times like these.
May the power protect you.
Zordon and the Power Rangers had a mutual friend who helped them in every way they needed. Alpha, an advanced robot from another planet who obeyed Zordon's every command and on several occasions was the Power Rangers' mentor. Alpha was programmed to help the Rangers, but also had a good friendship with Zordon and was loyal to him. Although many think that there is only one Alpha, the reality is that there are several, and many people can confuse them because they look very similar. The most famous is Alpha 5, the first to appear in the television series. There is also Alpha 6, who was programmed by his brother Alpha 5. These two robots are constantly confused as they are almost the same, but later we will see their differences. Before Alpha 5 appeared in Zordon's life, there was Alpha 4, who was also Zordon's assistant and only appeared in 2 episodes in the entire series. The first episode he appears in is Wild West Part 2, where we get to see an old command center and Alpha 4. The other episode he appears in, only his body appears inside a box in the episode where Golder and Rito explode the command center. However, it is said that this character was the one who helped Zordon build the command center and found the power coins. There is a very interesting fact about Alpha 4 and Alpha 5, and it is that when Power Rangers started, in the first episodes we can see that the Alpha 5 suit had the shoulders more attached to the arms. Then, in later episodes, we can see that his shoulders changed to be detached from his arms, and this ends up being Alpha's official form. Basically, the production team made a small change to the suit, and Alpha 4 was supposed to have been like that too, but he also had his shoulders detached from his arms since they used the same Alpha 5 suit to represent Alpha 4, since the first episode where he appears was aired in Season 2. Even so, if we look closely, we can see that there are scenes where Alpha 5 has his shoulders both ways when the scene changes. This happens because the production team used old scenes recorded with the first Alpha 5 suit with the shoulders attached to the arms. When Power Rangers Turbo started, Alpha 5 had another revamped body, but it was still Alpha 5. It was a brighter body with blue parts instead of black, and the lightning bolt on its chest had changed. In addition to this, his head no longer had the small sphere in the center and his body was thicker. In the third episode of Power Rangers Turbo, Alpha 5 and Zordon went to the planet Elter, but Alpha 6, Alpha 5's brother, appeared. Alpha 6 had the exact same new body as Alpha 5, but his personality was very different. Alpha 6 had a funnier and more masculine voice, as well as having more energetic moves and attitude. This Alpha started from Power Rangers Turbo being an assistant to the Power Rangers, until Power Rangers Lost Galaxy episode number 44 when the ship explodes and the Red Ranger takes him in his transport, but in the middle of another explosion, Alpha 6 is blown away and falls to Earth. After this, Alpha 6 had not appeared anything else in the entire franchise, but after 8 years he returned in episode number 21 of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, in which Adam the Black Ranger appears. In this episode, Adam needs help with technology, and so he seeks Alpha 6 and reactivates him. This is the episode that many get confused and think is the last episode of Alpha 5, but this is Alpha 6, and although each robot shares the same memories, they are not really the same robot. We can see this at the beginning of Power Rangers Turbo when Zordon and Alpha 5 reappear. At that point, Alpha 6 and Alpha 5 were in the same place. The only difference is that Alpha 5 was wearing his first suit, but the one with the shoulders detached from the arms, which is basically his official suit. In the Forever Red episode we can also see another Alpha, and this one is number 7. Many have said that Alpha 7 is the same as Alpha 5 but with some changes. Alpha 7 has the same body as Alpha 6, but its head is not shiny, it has an opaque color, similar to the first Alpha 5 suit. Still, it is not the same head since Alpha 5's old head has a sphere in the center and Alpha 7's head does not have the sphere. Another thing that supports the theory that Alpha 5 and Alpha 7 are the same robot, is that his voice is the same as it is played by the same actor, plus his personality should be the same. This is known since in that episode Alpha 7 had more dialogue in a conversation with Cole before entering the briefing room, but they cut that part in post-production. Talking a little more about Alpha 5, it comes from the planet Edenoi and was created by King Lishien. Alpha 4 also comes from the same planet, however, Alpha 6 and 7 are from planet Earth. These are the Alphas that appear in the TV series, but in the comics there are more. Here, we get to meet Alpha 1, a robot that was also built on Edenoi by King Lishien. This robot was built to be a warrior and not a helper like Alpha 5. This is why, at one point, Alpha 1 gets upset with Zordon for not destroying Rita sooner and has a mental breakdown. Because of this, Alpha 1 wants to take down Zordon and the Power Rangers to seek out warriors and destroy evil. Another mention we have of Alpha in the comics is in the universe of Lord Draken, as he had used the parts of Alpha 5 from his world to merge it with Finster and create what would be Finster 5. The last Alpha we have knowledge of is Alpha 55, which appears in Power Rangers Hyperforce. This Alpha was built in the year 3015 and Jen Scotts programmed it to help Power Rangers Time Force. After we thought we would never see another Alpha again, we got to see 2 more robots in the special episode, and these were Alpha 8 and 9. Billy managed to build a new command center, and we all understand that he also created Alpha 8. Unfortunately, this robot's body was possessed by Rita Repulsa's energy when Billy was trying to bring Zordon back, and this caused the creation of Robo-Rita. We don't know how long it was after that event until Billy built another Alpha, and this would be number 9. It should be noted that Alpha 8 and Alpha 9 have a very different voice, but we don't know if their personalities are also different since we saw very little time of Alpha 8. However, we can say that Alpha 9 was a great robot and his personality is very similar to Alpha 5. Alpha 9 helped the Rangers and had 2 big important moments in this special episode. One of those moments was when he activated the Bandora protocol, which alerted all the Power Rangers teams, and that made the character feel like a great leader. The other moment happened right after activating the protocol, and that is when he gives the power coins to Rocky and Kat. If you like Alpha, like this video, and subscribe for more Power Rangers robots.